This is the only lasagna recipe you will ever need. I'm making my traditional Italian lasagna. So this lasagna recipe I have been using for years and years and years and years, and it is such an amazing, simple recipe, and I love it, and I hope you do too. So firstly, we're gonna make the ragu. So into a large pan, give it a heavy glug of some olive oil, and then you want to add in your vegetables. So we're adding in our onions, our carrots, and our celery. I season with salt and pepper, and I'm not looking to brown the vegetables at all. I'm just looking to soften them slightly. So on a medium to high heat, just soften them for 1 to 2 minutes. Then I'm going to be adding in our protein. So I'm using a split of beef and pork as well. Now I'm using an 80-20 split on both the pork and the beef because you do want some fat in there because it's going to bring out the flavor, but you don't want too much fat because it's just going to end up being really heavy and dense, and we don't want that in our lasagna. So add in the ground beef and pork, turn the heat to high and just break it up using a wooden spoon or a spatula. And you'll find now that the juices will start to seep out on the bottom of the dish. Those vegetables will start to let go all their juices as well, and it'll get a little bit watery at the bottom, but that's okay. I season again with some salt and pepper, just a sprinkle of salt and pepper. And then I also put in some water as well. Now, if you want to use some wine for this, some white wine or some red wine, go for it. I'm just using water. And then I'm adding in some passata as well. Stir and mix the ingredients and let them cook on a low heat for at least an hour. But here's my tip. The longer this cooks for, the better it will taste. I usually will start this early in the morning, and I will have this on a very, very low heat all day long, like 12 hours. And the flavors just intensify and intensify. And every now and again, just like a pot plant, I just go and give it a little bit of water, just so it doesn't completely dry out, and I just give it a stir and leave it, but minimum an hour at least. But if you want to really take it up a notch and really bring out the maximum flavors you can, 12 hours. So while the ragu is cooking, we're going to get on and make our bechamel. Now firstly, what you want to do in a separate pan is warm the milk. Don't boil it, just bring it up to a simmering temperature and make sure it doesn't catch on the bottom. And now in a separate saucepan, cube the butter and melt it over a low heat, and as soon as it's liquefied, take it off the heat and gradually whisk in the flour, making sure that no lumps form, and you want to cook the rawness out of that flour. There's nothing worse than getting a bechamel and it's got this raw flour taste. It's disgusting. Place the pan with the butter and the flour back on the low heat, and now add the warm milk, season it with salt, pepper, and some nutmeg as well. Now you want to stir this really rapidly until it thickens and becomes nice and smooth. And another little tip, when you're making bechamel, to ensure that it is smooth, never stop stirring when you add ingredients to the bechamel when you're making it. Always keep stirring, 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 and that will ensure you get no lumps and it's nice and smooth, and there's no little pockets of raw flour or anything like that. So we've got our bechamel ready, we've got our ragu ready. Now we can assemble and start to layer up our lasagna. So preheat your oven to 200 degrees Celsius or 390 Fahrenheit. And in a casserole dish, the first layer I'm going to put down is the ragu. And then I've got some fresh pasta sheets which I'm going to be laying down. And if you need to cut them to fit the size of the casserole dish, go for it. Now, I'm really lucky. I've got the most amazing Italian delicatessen 5 minutes away from me, so I get their fresh pasta sheets and it is just amazing. But of course, you can make this at home. It's really simple. Pasta is very, very simple to make. And I would recommend you get the fresh pasta sheets. The dried ones, to me, just haven't got that same flavor to it, that same freshness about everything. I mean, you have to remember, this is what Italian cooking is all about. It's all about fresh, seasonal ingredients that are at their peak, and this is what we're using. So continue to layer up between the bechamel and the ragu, and in between I'm grating the good stuff, Parmigiano Reggiano. It is so, so good. Please use this cheese. It is worth every single cent you spend on it. It is more expensive, but hey, the flavor in this is gonna take it like a million miles up. Now I like having lots of layers of pasta in my lasagna. You can have it as thick as you want or as thin as you want, but I try and get an even layering all the way through. Another tip when making lasagna, when you do get to those top levels of the layers that you've made, make them a little bit thicker, because when you put it in the oven, they're the first parts that are going to have to really take the heat. And if you make it too thin, the top half of your lasagna is going to dry out. So do make those top halves of layers a little bit thicker. So sprinkle the top layer with another generous serving of some Parmigiano Reggiano. And you want to bake it for about 25 minutes or until that top has just started to go golden brown. Now, like with anything, bring it out and let your lasagna rest for 5 to 10 minutes. Let all those flavors just congeal back together with each other. Because if you cut it now, it might be too saucy, and you want all that sauce, you want all that flavor. And look at those beautiful layers when we cut through it. It is so gorgeous. I finish each piece off with a little bit of basil, but it is perfect just the way it is. Simple ingredients, fresh ingredients, and that's all you have to do to this. It is something that the whole family will love, and because you've put so much work into it, you've put so much love into it, so much soul into it, the flavors are just going to be sensational, and you will have the most incredible lasagna you've ever had. You can get the full recipe with all the ingredients on my website. Links are in the description below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And of course, I'll see you real soon for another recipe. I hope you're all having an amazing day.